Hello, everyone, and welcome to APH's Virtual ExCEL Academy. Today's camp is the Great STEM Campout for grades K through 3rd. We're happy to have you all joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to our two instructors for the day, Ranger Carrie and Ranger Annie. Thank you.
Welcome back, campers. This is Ranger Annie. I have my sun hat on today, and I actually have a sun behind me, a picture of a sun that we're going to use in our lesson today as we choose our own adventure. Just to refresh your memory, I have short brown hair. It comes to my shoulders. I have white skin. I have brown eyes. And again, my name is Ranger Annie. I'm going to let Ranger Carrie take over now.
Hello, campers, and welcome back. Ranger Carrie here. To refresh your memory, I have white skin, long black hair, and dark brown eyes. I'm so excited to be back today with you guys to go on another fun camping adventure. Today, we're going to be talking about something that really excites me. What we can do for fun while camping. I think camping should be all about fun. Even though there's some things we have to do that may not be as fun, we're going to talk about a lot of the fun things today. And before we dive into that, I wanted to let you guys know that I sure hope you had fun building your tents yesterday. We received some pictures that were so cute. Peyton did a great job with his tent. Aaron, thank you for sharing your video. We loved your tent. And like I said in the comments, I would love to go down your slide that you put on your tent. If you weren't able to upload a video, it's still no problem. Or if you weren't able to share pictures, we just hope that you guys had fun using your engineering skills and building your tents. All right, back to you, Ranger Annie.
Well, I'm thinking, Ranger Carrie, that it is a great chance for us to do a camp story. Do you think we should do a campfire story today?
I think that sounds great.
Well, Pete the Cat has a story about going camping. It's called Pete the Cat Goes Camping. Let's read this book together and let's see what fun activities Pete the Cat does on his camping trip. Remember, you're going to get to choose your own adventure today. So I want you to listen for what fun activities Pete the Cat does so that you can think of what fun activities you want to do as a camper. Again, this is called Pete the Cat Goes Camping. We have a picture of Pete the Cat loading his cat food into what looks like a van. It's the back of a van, so it's the trunk. He has a lantern with him, a fishing pole, a backpack, a plate with a fork, and a mug. Pete is excited to go camping. This is his first time. Don't forget your sleeping bag, says Dad. Dad is handing Pete his sleeping bag and some hiking shoes. Or your hiking boots, says Mom.
The campsite is deep in the woods. Mom and Dad set up the tent. So there's a picture of Mom and Dad. And you know, Mom and Dad are cats in this book, just like Pete. And they have a blue tent that they are setting up. Pete and Bob help collect sticks so they can make a fire later. I wonder who Bob is. That sounds like that might be one of Pete's friends. So there's a picture of Pete. He's blue. And Bob is white and black. They're both carrying sticks to looks like a stick pile with some stones around it.
Pete and Bob go for a hike. Bob shows Pete the footprints of different animals. In this picture, we see Bob and Pete. They're both cats, which is kind of funny. They're wearing their hiking boots as they are on a trail. The trail is covered in mud or dirt, and in the dirt, they see what looks like paw prints of a cat or a lion or maybe a mountain lion. It's not really clear. They're going uphill in the next picture and they see a rabbit. Do you think we will see anything cool? Asked Pete. Maybe, says Bob.
Pete and his dad go fishing. They must be very quiet and very still to catch a fish. So in this picture, Pete is holding a fishing pole, and it looks like they're at a little lake. His dad is with him, and he's holding a fishing pole too. The sun is out, which indicates that it's probably a nice sunny day. And they still have their hiking boots on. Fishing takes a long time. They finally catch some fish. Pete was the first one that caught a fish. He has a fish hanging off of his fishing pole in this picture.
Mom builds a fire. She cooks the fish for dinner. It tastes yummy. Mom the cat is standing next to a fire pit. She has a frying pan and she has a fish that they caught while they were fishing. She's wearing a pink dress and pink hiking boots to match her pink dress. Next, Pete toasts marshmallows. Pete makes s'mores with chocolate and graham crackers. Here we have Pete, Bob, Dad, and Mom all around the campfire. There's stones around their campfire to contain that fire. There's firewood, and they have sticks that they found in the woods. And on the end of the stick above the fire is a marshmallow that they are toasting. It looks like Bob is the first one to get his s'mores. He has graham crackers in his hands, a marshmallow in between the graham crackers with chocolate, and he has taken his first bite.
It starts to get dark out. Bob tells Pete a story about a scary, hairy giant. The giant lives in the woods. His name is Bigfoot. So in this picture, they are sitting around the campfire. Pete is actually sitting on a stone. Bob is standing up with his arms out like he is telling the story with lots of expression. And Mom and Dad are sitting in lawn chairs. And it looks like the sky is starting to get dark.
Do you think Bigfoot lives here? Asked Pete. There is a picture of Pete standing between some trees. There's some hills in the background. Above Pete's head is a question mark, and his eyes are looking up like he is thinking. No one has ever seen Bigfoot, says Bob. Don't let Bob scare you, says Dad. Bigfoot is not real, Mom says. Pete sighs with relief. And there's a picture of Bob, Mom, and Dad, and they're all standing with the trees in the background, and they're looking up like they're thinking about Bigfoot as well.
But if he is real, I bet he's friendly, says Dad, and likes s'mores too. That's not scary, thinks Pete. Maybe he wants a s'more. Pete leaves one for his hairy friend. So in the first picture, his dad is still roasting marshmallows, and Pete is standing beside him getting ready to put a marshmallow on his stick. In the second picture, there's a picture of a picnic table, and Pete is setting a s'more with the graham cracker, the marshmallow, and the chocolate on top of that picnic table.
Soon it's time for bed. We're going to talk about time today. Lights out, boys, Dad says. Dad has a bucket of water and he is putting out the campfire. Their tents are ready in the background for bed, and the night sky has grown a lot darker. Bob and Pete share a tent. Pete gets into his sleeping bag. It is cozy, but he cannot sleep. So Pete and Bob are inside of a red tent, and you can see the tent going up into a triangular shape above their head. They're sleeping on what looks like a green tarp to keep them dry from the water. Pete is in a blue sleeping bag, and Bob is beside him in a red sleeping bag. What's really cool about their tent is it has a window. And outside of this window, you can see the trees, the night sky, the moon, and some hills.
The woods seem extra dark, and all of the sounds seem extra loud at night. So in this picture, the moon is out. The tents are all zipped up. There's a red tent and a blue tent. The fire is barely burning, so I assume they're sleeping. Pete hears a weird swishing sound. What is that? He asks Bob. That's just the wind, says Bob. In this picture, Pete is sitting up in his sleeping bag with this really confused look on his face. Bob's laying next to him in his sleeping bag, and he has one eye open.
Pete hears an odd chirping noise. What is that? He asks out loud. Those are just the crickets. And in this picture, Pete is laying inside of his sleeping bag with his pillow behind his head. His arms are holding on to that pillow, and he's looking up, wondering about the bird. Pete hears a strange hooting sound. Hoop, hoop. What is that? He wonders. Above his head in this picture is a thought bubble, and there is an owl in it, and he is resting on a branch. Just an owl, Pete thinks of his old friend Owl.
Pete hears a loud snapping sound. Crack! What is that? He wonders. But Bob is already fast asleep. In this picture, Bob is sleeping in his sleeping bag, and he has little Z's coming above his head, which would indicate that he's sleeping. Pete, on the other hand, he has his covers pulled all the way up to his face, and he has this worried look in his eyes. Pete listens carefully. Crack! Is it Bigfoot? Pete peeks outside. It is too dark to see anything. So in this picture, the sky is blue because it's nighttime. And Pete opens up his red tent, and he's barely peeking his head out, trying to see what is outside.
When Pete wakes up, he checks the spot where he left the s'mores for Bigfoot. The s'more is gone. So Pete is outside, and it is daylight again. The sky has turned a nice bright yellow. His tent is in the background. There's trees in the background, but he is standing next to a picnic table. And on the picnic table, there was where he left the s'mores, and it is gone for Bigfoot.
There is a note. It says, "Thanks for the treat, XOXO." In this picture, Pete is holding up a note with the words, "Thanks for the treat, XOXO," and there's a big footprint in blue. Pete shows his family. "Wow, I knew Bigfoot was real," says Bob. His mom, his dad, and Bob are standing up with their hands out to their sides, kind of up in the air like, "We tried to tell you he was real."
Pete knows Bigfoot is not scary. Just because he looks different does not mean he is scary. He even likes s'mores too. That is the end of our story, and Bob and Pete are standing with his parents, and they are enjoying their camping trip. Speaking of enjoying the camping trip, if you will remember, this is the Great STEM Campout. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. Today, we will use science and math to talk about what kind of opportunities we have in nature, there's the science part, and how to divide up time to make a schedule, there's the math part. We will also use engineering with our Geometro kit from APH to build a symbol for daylight. I'm talking about the sun. Okay, so if you don't have your Geometro kit from APH, that's fine. I would like for you to watch and listen to me today. If you do have your kit from APH, I want you to go back later and watch this as a recording. We are now 15 minutes in, And you can see how I set up my sun to help me know how much daylight I had left in my schedule. You can build it along with me. If you don't have this kit, that's fine. This will still be a great experience for you. It looks like we have a hand up. Let's see, Cadence. Do you have a question about our APH kit? Go ahead and share with us.
That's not a question about the kit, K. I didn't tell you something. I got kicked out of my meeting earlier. Did you notice that?
Andrew, Carrie, can you hear Cadence?
Cadence, it's really hard to hear you. I think you may have your mouth just a little too close.
No, too close. I can fix that.
Okay, we can hear you a little better. Can you repeat what you said?
I keep getting kicked out of my meeting. Is there any reason, have anyone else been getting kicked out of my meeting?
This is Leanne. I'm going to step in. Cadence, it could be your internet is kicking you out. We haven't had anyone else have that issue. So I apologize if it's happening to you.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Leanne.
And Cadence, if you need to log out and then try to log back in, sometimes that helps, and we will catch you up with where we are.
You know what, Ranger Annie? We forgot to ask them our camp question of the day.
Oh my, how could we forget that?
I think we were so excited to jump in there, we completely forgot. Are you guys ready to get your fingers ready?
I found out why we're getting kicked out of the meeting.
Glad you got it sorted out. Okay.
Okay, campers, get your hands ready. Here is our question today. Would you rather roast marshmallows or hot dogs? If you would rather roast marshmallows for s'mores, type an M in the chat box. If you would rather roast hot dogs, type an H. If you guys are watching this from home, please answer along with us.
Thank you, Mila, for telling us that you'd rather roast marshmallows. Aaron says marshmallows. Yanni says marshmallows. Elijah says marshmallows. I think we're getting some sweet teeth.
I was going to say the same thing.
All right, we'll give it about 10 more seconds and then we're going to move on with our great STEM camp out. Cadence has said she would rather have hot dogs, something savory. Okay, so we are using that STEM today, that science, technology, engineering, and math. We need to keep our priorities in mind. So a priority is not only what is important to us for our wants or what we find fun, but also our needs. I'm talking about the needs to sleep, drink water, take a bath or a shower, clean up, picking up trash, and making meals. These are things on our camping trip that we have to have time for. And because we're taking our stay outdoors, sometimes there's a little bit extra work than you might have to do at home, such as in your house, you don't have to worry about a squirrel running off with your hot dog bun, but in the campground, you have to make sure you secure everything. So today, I'm going to start out our lesson by doing some work, and I'm going to show you what I do. I'm going to put our priorities to meet our needs into a schedule. So a schedule helps keep us organized with time so that we can make sure we are utilizing the time in our day. And something really important about time on a camping trip is how much sunlight you have. So let's make a sun today to see how much time we have in the day. There are 24 hours in a day. 24 seems like a lot, but they go fast. We have 12 triangles in our Geometro kit from APH. If we connect the corners of the triangles with the point of the triangles at the top, we can make a circle that looks like a sun with rays. I'm going to show you that now. Behind me, I have connected 12 triangles. I use the bottom of the triangles to make my circle. So I have connected the corners together of each triangle. Now at the top of the triangles are the points, and they're pointing upward. This makes it look like a sun. We need 8 hours of sleep. Each triangle is going to equal 2 hours because I have 12 triangles, and 12 doubled, or 12 twice the 2, makes 24 hours in the day. So I am going to take out 8 hours of sleep. I'm going to take out 4 of our sun rays. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 triangles left to help us plan our schedule. So I have taken out the time for sleep, and this sun is representing how much time we have left in our day. We have to eat 3 meals a day, and we have to have time to get ready in the morning and meet another basic need, going to the bathroom. That's something important to do in our day. And that may not even be something that we said, oh, I want to go fishing, but you have to consider what other needs you have in your schedule. So going to the bathroom is a need for time too. Let's take out another ray. So that's 2 hours. Now I have 6 left. Lots of people use the sun while camping to help them plan daylight activities and warmer activities, because we want sunshine for a lot of our activities. But from 8 to 10, I would say that it's starting to get really dark. And that might be a great time to relax, because if you're so busy in your day and you're out in the sunlight, that takes a lot of energy. So let's take out the nighttime hours so that we have those times to relax. Now I have 6 triangles left in my sun. And earlier I had said 6, but I had 7. And now I do have 6 triangles left in my sun. Okay. So we took out the time for the dark, we took out the time for sleep, and we took out some time for eating. And remember, on our camping trip, we have to clean up after our meals, or the animals might get into our food. Let's say you go to bed at 10 on your camping trip, because I know you're going to be so full of energy that you're going to want to stay up kind of late. So yes, we're going to give you a late bedtime. We'll go to bed at 10 p.m. A reasonable time to get up after 8 hours of sleep would be 6 a.m. And this would give you plenty of time to get your day started with a good breakfast and get ready for your outdoor adventure activities. I'm going to turn it over to Ranger Carrie as she helps you plan what priorities you have that not only meet your needs that we just talked about, but your need for fun, because you do have some things that are important to you to do on your camping trip, and you want to make use of that time. I am going to say one more thing before I turn it over to her. Today, we have a very important I can statement, and she'll go over it again. I can, and you can repeat it after me. I can prioritize my time to meet my needs while camping and recreational activities of my choice. All right, Ranger Carrie, go ahead and talk to us more about that. You are muted, Ranger Carrie.
Unless you guys were just going to watch my lips move and no voices, I guess it would be important for me to unmute myself. Okay, so Ranger Annie has talked to you about the importance of prioritizing our needs. That is a big word. I want to kind of break that down for you. When you have to prioritize something, it means that you pick what is most important to you. Let me give you a little example about me. I require a lot of sleep and I like to sleep, but I also enjoy working out. And I know that in order to be able to work out, I'm going to have to do that in the mornings, because if I wait till the afternoon or when I get off work, it's not going to happen. So I have to prioritize my needs. For one, to go to bed early, which sometimes isn't always fun. And two, make sure I get up early so I can get my workout in the morning. So that is just an example of how I do it. You guys might decide, you know what, in order for me to have free time at home, I have to get my homework done first. That is also prioritizing your needs. So I want you to think back to Pete the cat and think about the activities that we might have at the campsites that we've talked to you about this week. We're going to give you an opportunity to share in just a second, but I want to read a couple questions for you. Now remember, you do not have to share if you don't want to, but if you want to, we encourage you to raise your hand and then we will allow you to share. If you guys are watching this at home, we also want you to participate. Think about this, and then you can share this with an adult that's at the house with you. So we're talking about time management and what it means to have a priority. What is important for you? What do you consider important to have fun? That could be things like swimming, maybe going to the playground at the campsite. Maybe you like hiking. Which activity did Pete the cat do that sounded most important to you on a camping trip? Now, here's a big thing to think about. You always have to have a backup plan. Let me give you another example. If I was going camping and my priority was I wanted to make time to go swimming, but we woke up that morning and it was really cold and we weren't able to go swimming. Well, we don't want to just sit there and have nothing to do. So I have to think of something else that might be fun for us to do. And you guys need to think about that too. And you always need to keep the weather in mind. And sometimes plans just change. Sometimes your parents may have something planned and then they have to go to plan B, sometimes that's what we call it. So you guys definitely are smart enough to think about that. Think about an activity that you want to do, but then also think about an activity as a backup plan. All right, if you have an idea of what you would like to do for fun while camping, and you would like to share this, go ahead and raise your hand now and we will call on you. See, do we have any hands coming up?
Aaron had his hand raised and I just elevated him.
Okay, go ahead, Aaron.
So if I was camping, what I would like to do is go hiking.
Aaron, I love that answer. Hiking is probably one of my favorite things to do, as long as it's not too hot. All right, Aaron, I have another question for you. If you are unable to go hiking because it might be raining or maybe it's too hot that day, what would be another activity that you would like to do?
I would like to, well, maybe read a little bit of stories.
Okay. Do you like to read stories, or would you like to tell and make up your own stories?
I would like to tell and make up my own stories.
Erin, you are doing an awesome job at thinking. I love your answers. Thank you for sharing.
I'm a great storyteller.
I bet you are.
It'd be fun camping, telling stories.
Do we have any other campers that would like to share what activities they would like to do?
I believe next was Mila.
All right, Mila, go ahead when you're ready.
Is us camping? I would make s'mores.
Would you share those with your family and friends?
Yes.
Well, that's very nice. You know what? I'm going to tell you a little secret. We might be sharing how to make s'mores at home when you're not camping. Does that sound exciting?
Yes.
Yes.
You made it once at home? I made it once at home.
You made it once at home?
Yes.
Well, you're going to have to come back tomorrow because we definitely have something fun that I think you are going to enjoy. Now, if for some reason you guys did not have access to a fire to make s'mores or roast marshmallows, what is another activity that you would enjoy doing?
Playing at the lake.
Swimming in a lake?
No, playing at the lake.
Playing at the lake? Very good. Do you like to fish?
No.
No, I'm not a big fisher either, so I agree. Thank you so much for sharing. You did an awesome job.
Thank you.
Looks like Mila might have something to share.
That was Mila. I think next up is Cadence.
Oh, Cadence. Sorry, Cadence.
All right, Cadence, go ahead when you're ready.
I'm ready right now.
What would you like to do if you were camping?
I would like to sleep in my sleeping bag.
Sleep in your sleeping bag?
And let mom tell me stories.
And let your mom tell you stories?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like scary stories or funny stories?
Funny stories.
Funny stories?
And I invite my Gigi here. You see Gigi? Look. There's Gigi.
Cadence, I didn't hear that last part.
Do you see Gigi?
Movies? Did you say movies?
I said, do you see Gigi?
The zoo?
You can hear me?
Not very well, Cadence. I think technology has given us a bit of a challenge to hear you, but we did hear that you would like to be in your sleeping bag and hear stories from your mom. So
Cadence, if you're able to type the last thing that you said, maybe just one word, you can do that. That would be helpful. But thank you so much for sharing.
Hey, one more question for you.
Did you have time for more or?
Yes,
Okay.
we have more. We have time for somebody else.
All right, I believe Hildegard had her hand up next.
All right, Hildegard, when you are ready, go ahead and tell us what you would like to do if you were camping.
Hold on, go now.
I would like to get out my magnets and make things out of my magnets.
Oh, you like to bring your magnets and play?
Yeah, I've got lots of magnets.
You have lots of magnets. Would you like to go hiking?
Yeah, I'll go to the playground.
The playground. Playgrounds are always fun. You know what? Playgrounds are even fun when you're an adult sometimes. I still like to go to the playground. Do you have anything else that you want to share about what you might like to do?
No.
All right, you did a great job. Thank you so much for sharing. Did we have anybody else?
I think the last one, I know Aaron already spoke. I'm not sure if his hand was, but Elijah had their hand up. So let me go
Okay.
ahead.
Elijah, go ahead when you are ready.
There you go. Speak loud.
I would listen to fly noises when I camp, when I
Ooh.
sleep too.
That is an awesome answer. I didn't think about that. Do you like the noises or do you not like them?
I like the noises of flies buzzing.
Do you? What about crickets or frogs?
I like crickets too.
You do? What
And
is it?
frogs. They're just so funny.
I'm not a big fan of frogs, and I'll tell you why. I don't like things that jump or hop toward me. I like to look at them, but I don't want to touch them. Now, what about, that's an activity that you could definitely do at night. What is something that you would enjoy doing in the day, Elijah?
Making s'mores.
Making s'mores? I think all of you guys would make s'mores. I think that's awesome. Is there anything else that you want to share about what you might do when you're camping?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I would eat orange chicken and rice while we are camping.
Would you make that or would you guys bring that? Or go to a restaurant?
Maybe make that.
Maybe make that?
That would be hard to do while camping. It's possible, but it would be hard.
I would be impressed. I would definitely be impressed because I think I would be sticking to sandwiches and hot dogs. Elijah, thank you so much for sharing. I loved your answers.
You're welcome.
I think that was our last camper that had their hand raised that wanted to share. You guys did an awesome job. That is one thing that has really, really impressed me this week. And I know Ranger Annie agrees. You guys have done so well every time that we've asked you to share, and your answers are amazing.
Yes, I would check off those skills on the ECC for you. I would say that you have great social interaction skills. You have etiquette skills, which means that you take time to listen to others who are speaking, and then you think about how you're going to respond and how it's appropriate. And you have great self-determination skills.
And every camper that we've listened to today, you guys have had great manners. So you know what that calls for? That calls for a big pat on the back.
Oh, a big pat on the back.
And their answers were so good. I think all of you guys should take your hands up to your mouth and make a kiss and kiss your brain. Put that kiss on your brain. You guys are awesome. All right, Ranger Annie, I'm going to let you take it over to share your screen. We want to show you guys what a typical day in the life of a camper may look like. Now, Ranger Annie talked about we have to meet our basic needs, but we also will have fun events too, or what we call leisure and recreation. And guess what? Recreation and leisure is part of the ECC. And you guys know we have been saying that a lot this week because we want you to know how important that is for you guys. It's just a special set of skills only for you guys. All right. Let's look at this day in the life of a camper. So this is just an example, but just to so you guys understand, when Ranger Annie was talking, from 6 in the morning to 8 in the morning, that would be when you wake up, get dressed, eat breakfast, and tidy up your sleeping area. Then from 8 to 10, you might go hiking. And a few of you campers said that hiking was something that you might want to do. So that would be a leisure activity. That's something that you enjoy doing. From 10 to 12, you might have the chance to go fishing or go swimming or even just play by the lake. But guess what? If you go swimming or even fishing, you're probably going to have to come back to your tent or your campsite and change into dry clothes. from 12 to 2, that's going to be time for lunch, cleaning up. Remember we talked about those wild animals that can get into your food if you leave it out? So it's always important to clean up after we eat and take our trash to the dumpster or whatever area is designated for the trash. And then you also may have time to visit the playground. And then from 2 to 4, this is another time that would be fun for you guys. You may go sightseeing. This would be a little bit different from hiking because there might be certain areas at the park, or the campsite that you are camping at, that would be special to that area. And then from 4 to 6, that's going to be what we call a cool down time. You've spent a lot of time outdoors, so you may need a time just to kind of unwind, cool off. Then you're going to get ready for dinner, and then you're going to have dinner and clean up. Here's y'all's favorite part. From 6 to 8, you can build a campfire, roast marshmallows, and make your favorite s'mores. And then from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., you may want to tell campfire stories or read with a flashlight, wind down, and then you go to bed. Thanks, Ranger Annie, for sharing that. All right, campers. We've got to do what we have done every day so far. So today we talked about a lot of important things. We talked about prioritizing our needs and making a daily schedule while you're camping. I want you to think about your normal day and activities that you do. Most of you guys are probably home from school right now because it's summer break. So think about some of the activities that you are doing during the day. And I want you to think about, could these be activities I could do while I was camping? Some of them you probably could, some of them you probably couldn't. If there's no electricity or no internet, you're probably not going to be able to play any type of games or use a tablet. So that's where you have to get a little creative and think about what kind of things could I take with me and do while I'm camping. Before
Oh, sorry, Ranger Carrie. I did want to add, Hildegard mentioned she would bring her magnets on a camping trip. You might have some toys or something at home that you really enjoy, but the great thing about going outside to play is it gives you new opportunities to enjoy things in a different way. So Hildegard, you might be used to putting your magnets on the fridge at home, or maybe even like a cookie sheet, because magnets need metal. But at the playground, you would have the opportunity to put your magnets on something new, like the playground equipment. So if you bring something along with you to play with, you might be able to think of a different way outside of your normal, because a vacation is an opportunity for a time outside of your normal.
That is a great point, Ranger Annie. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, before I explain our extension activity, I want you guys to do the self-evaluation that we did yesterday. We've done this every day. Remember, this gives Ranger Annie and myself an understanding of how well you understood what we taught today. So she's going to share this with you on the screen, and I'm going to go ahead and go over the chart. All right. So remember, if you're watching this as a recording, we still want you to do this as well. Just think about how well you feel about what we taught today. If you totally got what we discussed and you could teach it to others, put a 3 in the chat box. Remember, today was all about fun things you could do, but making sure you had time for the necessities like eating. Ranger Annie even said you had to think about time for going to the bathroom. If you still need a little practice or more explaining, put a 2 in the chat box. And if you are completely lost and you need help, put a 1 in the chat box. I see some answers coming in. And I think if I had to rate you guys today based on how you answered our questions, I would give everybody a 3. I would say, you know what? The campers totally got it today.
And tomorrow you will have the opportunity to teach others about this camping experience. So it is really exciting to see these 3s. But it's okay if you're still at a 2 or a 1, because this is a week of learning, and learning means that we have opportunity for growth.
Okay, I think everybody has had the chance to answer us. So as you guys know, this whole week has been about STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. Now our extension activity today is going to allow you to be little engineers again. But guess what? We're not going to build a tent. Today, we want you guys to build a boat. Not a boat that you can fit in. That would take way too long. Just a little small boat. And I kind of have a small example here. My helper built this boat. She wrapped it in tinfoil and some saran wrap. She was really in my cabinets getting all kinds of stuff out. I've had to stop her. But what we want you guys to see is, we want you to see if your boat will sink or will it float. Now, the purpose of a boat is to float. If you make yours and it doesn't float, guess what? That's okay. You can try again, or you can ask for help. But remember, if you ask for help, you need to be the boss. Don't let somebody just do it for you. Make sure you explain to them what parts you need help with. Here's the really cool part we want to challenge you. So if your boat has to float, that means you're going to have to put it in some type of water. You could use a bowl. You could use the sink. You may even want to use your bathtub. And if you guys still have your items from the scavenger hunt, your sticks, your leaves, your rocks, and your parents or whoever you're with allows you to, we want you to put those in there too, to make it like a lake. So your extension activity today is going to be building a boat that does not sink. We want you to try to make your boat float. If you're able to send in pictures or upload yours to Flipgrid, we would love to see it. If not, it's not a problem at all. And those of you that are watching this as a recording, we encourage you to try to make this boat too. Remember, you can use anything from your house. Get creative and think completely outside of the box. There's probably a lot of things that you used yesterday that you could use for this activity as well. Now, tomorrow we have a fun day planned, but we're kind of sad because tomorrow is our last day with you guys. So I hope you guys had fun today. I hope you learned a lot, and we can't wait to see you back here tomorrow for our final date. And remember what we said, we might be sharing something with you about s'mores. So make sure you come back and join us.
See you next time in our great STEM campout.
Thank you, Ranger Annie and Ranger Carrie. I think today was a great lesson as usual. We look forward to our final day tomorrow of camp, of the great STEM campout for grades K through 3rd. And have everyone have a great afternoon or wherever you're at. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.